calling for the troops home. I'm a Vietnam veteran.
Welcome home.
During my tour, I saw too much to ever be able to support an unjustifiable war, one that does not put our homeland in danger. I came back and worked to end that irresponsible war. Here we are now, 30 years later, and we're involved in another irresponsible military occupation of a country involved in civil war. And I have again pledged to do what I can to bring our brave men and women, our sons and daughters, home. I agreed to sponsor the Troops Home resolution. I am here today speaking not just for myself and not just for the citizens of Bellingham that I represent, but rather as a voice being raised all across this country from the 300 municipalities and 17 states that have passed such resolutions, demanding to be heard, to bring our troops home now. We are asking the President and the Congress to stand with us and do the right thing to bring our brave men and women home now.
That's right.
We got a couple other people who want to say a few words. Vermont has led the country in both referenda against the war, state resolutions against the war. Is Jimmy Lease here from Vermont to say a couple of words? Jimmy.
Hold that mic close to your mouth.
Okay.
Hello, greetings from Vermont. And on March 6th of this year, 23 towns in Vermont voted that the people of our towns strongly support our soldiers in Iraq and believe that the best way to support our men and women in Iraq is to bring each and every one of them home now and take good care of them when they get home. This resolution was up for a vote in 25 towns, and 23 of them passed it. One of them voted it down, and one of them voted not to vote. But the sentiment in Vermont, shown by those votes, is overwhelmingly in favor of ending this war, supporting our soldiers, and the best way to support them is to bring them home now and take care of them when they get home.
And the mercenaries.
The funding for this war is the way to stop the war. You cannot veto when a House or a Senate votes down funding. It can be stopped in the Senate with just 40 votes that say, we're not going to let this come up for a vote. It can be stopped in the House when the Speaker says she's not going to let it come up for a vote. One person can stop it in the House. What we need to do is to continue to build the mass, huge demonstrations, build the mass movement, have the referendum questions on the ballot, continue to involve large numbers of people all around the country to put pressure on both parties that are continuing to give their support to this war. On May 24th, the House did something extremely sneaky. They adopted a procedure that enabled the funding of this war to happen and allow many Democrats to vote no. They didn't have to do that. They simply could have said, we're not going to let this come up for a vote, and this war would have been over months ago. But it's up to the people to continue to put the pressure on, to expand the pressure, to involve the soldiers, the veterans, everybody. You know, our soldiers have a chance to end this war. There was a huge movement against the war among soldiers to stop the war in Vietnam. We can do it again. We've got to show those soldiers we support them, and the way to do it is to bring all of them home now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jimmy. We have one more speaker before we present the resolutions. We have people here, by the way, from all over the country, from New Hampshire to California, and we've had states pass resolutions from North Dakota in the north to Arizona in the south. This is America. From the heartland of America, we have Don Cooney from Kalamazoo, Michigan.
Kalamazoo! Okay, Kalamazoo.
Okay,
It's too bad that the president chose not to meet with us today, but that's been the pattern since the very, very beginning. Groups of us from the cities was here before the war started, and we tried to meet with the president, and we got the same cold shoulder. But Mr. President, we will not be silenced. You will hear our voices, and we are here to tell you that we do not want the misery that our people are experiencing in our cities. My city in Kalamazoo, Michigan is a beautiful city, but already the poverty rate among our children is at 38%. Almost 2 out of 5 of our children live in poverty. Last year, we have an organization called Communities in Schools, and the first week of school, we had to give 200 pair of shoes out to our kids because they were coming to school with very, very terrible things on their feet. So, Mr. President, we need the help in our cities. And the other thing I want to say is that the violence on our streets is escalating. And one of the reasons the violence on the streets is escalating is because we can't present our young people with enough alternatives. We need the money directed not to kill people in Iraq, but to create jobs in our cities. Mr. President, we want to be proud of our country. We want our country to stand for justice and human rights. We do not want this war, this illegal, immoral, unnecessary war to continue. So, Mr. President, this is a symbol of the voices of the people. And you will be hearing from us more and more. End this war now.
I now turn to Joe Moore from Chicago, who is the leader of this delegation, who's going to bring the resolutions to the White House. Joe Moore.
We sent a letter to President Bush asking him to meet with the delegation of local elected officials. For some reason, it must have gotten lost in the mail or otherwise was not responded to. So we are going to attempt to deliver these copies of the resolutions of the various cities that have called upon the President to withdraw our troops from Iraq and bring our young men and women home. I am hopeful they will accept these resolutions and read them and recognize that it is the will of the people through the voices of the local elected officials closest to the people that are calling upon the President and Congress to end this war and bring the troops home now. So we are going to go together to deliver these resolutions, which are the spoken words of the people, to the President of the United States.